Hey guys, Nick here from Nick's Taxes, and today is a little bit of a different video, but we have a tax credit that I really want to highlight on this channel that I think can benefit many people who aren't taking advantage of this credit. This is the disability tax credit, and if you qualify, it could save you thousands of dollars in tax. Now, I did an interview with my new friend Darren over at Grants International, and their job at Grants International is to make sure that people qualify for this credit, walk them through the steps into qualifying and applying for this credit on their taxes, and then obviously realizing the tax savings for this credit. Now, if you want to know if you qualify for this disability tax credit, click the link in the description below. It's Grants International /Nick's Taxes, and you can just fill out that information and someone at Grants International will be able to help you walk through the steps to see if you actually qualify. Now, with my talk with Darren, we talk about who could be eligible for this disability tax credit, and just because it says disability doesn't necessarily mean you have to be like in a wheelchair. There are many different ways that you can qualify for the disability tax credit. It's definitely worth taking a look at, and if you enter the information down below using my link, you can find out if you qualify. There's no upfront fees, there's no obligations, there's nothing like that. They only get paid if you get paid in terms of a disability tax credit refund. So go check it out, go find out if you qualify, and watch this interview. Let me know what you think. And this is just one way that you guys can save. So if you qualify, if you think you qualify, fill in that information below. Or if you know someone like a parent or a spouse that you think may qualify, fill in that information for them and find out if they do indeed qualify. Definitely worth it, no obligations, and you could see huge tax savings.
Alrighty, our guest today is Darren Earn from Grants International. Now, Grants International is known as the refund experts, and they've been in business since 1991. They've helped over 15,000 Canadians save over $75 million. So, Darren, you've been an expert at dealing with the government and getting people refunds they didn't even know existed for over 30 years. Let me know about this refund service from Grants International.
Okay. Hi, Nick. Today we're talking about what's called the DTC, the Disability Tax Credit. The DTC has been around since the 1940s. It's a program that has evolved, and its name does not describe what it actually, who's actually eligible for it anymore. Back in the 1940s, it was about people who were in wheelchairs. It was about people who couldn't see and were blind. In the 2000s, it's changed around a little bit, and they've broadened the eligibility criteria. And so right now, it's more or less about when we get older and we have difficult time getting around, walking, feeding ourselves, dressing ourselves, all sorts of things like that, we become eligible for this tax credit. But they just lump them all into the same one that already existed, and now it discourages a lot of people from even wanting to discuss it. In the nuts of it is that it's a refund for people who pay income taxes and have a medical impairment that causes them to not be able to do one or more of the activities of daily living. It allows you to go back up to 10 years and get a refund of taxes that you've paid over the past 10 years, as long as your doctor certifies that you've had the health impairment that makes you eligible for this, and you can get future savings every year going into the future.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like some good stuff. But the one thing I'm kind of hooked up on is it's called the disability tax credit. And a lot of people with difficulty getting around and whatnot, they don't really consider themselves to be disabled, or at least wouldn't want to admit it. So why would they still want to look into this disability tax credit?
So as I sort of alluded to earlier, because the program has changed, the new criteria of the program as of the 2000s is that it's not that if you cannot walk anymore, for example, so you don't have to be in a wheelchair. It is if you cannot walk 100 meters in a reasonable amount of time, They use the word inordinate. If it takes you an inordinate amount of time to walk 100 meters, then you qualify. So what's an inordinate amount of time? Because there's no formal definition. As you know, in dealing with taxes, the government is not really good at explaining these types of things. They picked a word. Well, they've described it as if it takes you 3 times longer to walk 100 meters than a person who does not have your health impairment. So doesn't have your arthritis or your joint problems or your COPD or your breathing issues. If in a nutshell, if you're walking with your spouse or your family and you're dragging them behind or they're trying to pull you forward, probably you qualify for this tax credit, but you have to go through this process.
Gotcha. Now, the big question with the tax credit is how much money are we talking about in terms of getting a tax credit or getting a potential refund on our tax return?
So the amounts of money are going to depend on how much tax you've paid in the course of the past 10 years that you may or may not be eligible for. Like this is, if we can go back 10 years and you've paid income taxes in all 10 of those years, and you live, different provinces have different rates. So
Yeah.
because you get the provincial tax back and you get the federal tax back. So in Alberta, for example, if you're just a standard application that you get to go back 10 years, you get back $20,000. In Ontario, it's more on the lines of $14,000 or $15,000. It's just the way that the provincial taxes change based on what province that you're in. However, there's also multiple ways that you can file the claim. So if, for example, you have medical expenses that exceed a certain dollar value,
Right.
and those medical expenses are not eligible for the medical expense deduction on line 330 before you get this program, by allowing you to get the disability tax credit, opens up a series of medical expenses that now become eligible for that deduction. So, for example, if you have let's say you're living in an assisted living facility, or you're in a nursing home, or you have family in a nursing home, or you have a attendant who cares for you to help you cook, to help you get dressed in the morning, to help you go out, and, or if you have sometimes people with Alzheimer's have to have constant supervision. Those expenses, which are not eligible for the medical expense deduction before you get the disability tax credit, become eligible. So now all of a sudden, if you've been paying those types of expenses over the past 10 years, you can now often get back in the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 range. And it doesn't matter which province that you're in, as long as you've had those expenses and that you're eligible for the disability tax credit. But you've got to get, it's a two-pronged process. You've got to get approved medically first, and then we can go after the money. And you have to make that decision. The government doesn't help you to decide how to file. So you can make that mistake and file it one way and get 15,000 back, or
Right.
file it another way and get 50,000 back.
Yeah, that's awesome. And on this channel, we like to talk about how to be strategic in our tax filings to get the most of your refund. And one of the things we talk about as well is like maximizing credits. And what if you're in a situation where maybe you don't earn a whole lot of money? Are you able to transfer this disability tax credit onto someone else where they might be able to take a larger advantage of this tax credit, like a spouse?
Absolutely. So first off, if you can claim the entire thing yourself, then you would do that. If
Right.
you can only claim a portion of it, there's some transferability to your spouse. If you can't claim any of it, it's all can get transferred to your spouse. That's just an election that you can make on your tax return. And if both you and your spouse don't pay income tax, there is the opportunity to transfer it to a relative if that relative is supporting you with food, shelter, or clothing, or all of the above. So, for example, if you've moved into the home of your children and they're basically providing you with shelter, now you can transfer it to them, and then they can pick it up on their tax return.
Gotcha. That's good stuff. So if this is sounding like something that's good for you or someone that you know might qualify, definitely recommend clicking the link down in the comments. I have it pinned at Nick's Taxes, so you'll be able to go in there and check out to see if you qualify for this. But definitely worth taking a look. A big question here, because we've talked about how much we could potentially get in refunds, and using Grants International to help guide that along. How much do you guys typically charge for doing all this and helping out our taxpayers?
Okay, so we work only on a percentage of the savings. And if you don't save, you don't pay. And for 30 years, we've had the exact same policy. I've never charged anybody a dime until they get the money back from the government. They don't pay us anything. So we're going to just help you along the process. If they reject you and we have a case, we'll appeal it. We'll take it to tax court if we have to. There'll be no cost to you. So I mean, we're pretty careful to only take the cases that we think we can win, obviously, and you don't want to waste your time on that either. And then once you have your check in hand, that's when we charge 30% of what you recovered only on the past. You will continue to save into the future, and we don't charge anything on that. That's how Grants International makes money.
So to be clear, there's no upfront costs.
Nope. There's not a single penny that you will pay Grants International until you got a check in hand.
Awesome. So yeah,
or
again,
a direct
guys.
Deposit to your bank.
True. Yeah, that's the big thing nowadays. So right, you really have nothing to lose, but a lot to gain by just putting in an inquiry and seeing if you qualify for this, because there's no money up front. So you get paid. Once you get paid, then you pay Grants International to help it out, to help you guys out. That's great.
If you're having a difficult time getting around and you're paying income tax, or your spouse is paying income tax, there's a really good chance that you're eligible for a significant refund of taxes that you've paid over the past few years. We can get that back for you. And if you don't get money back, then it costs you nothing, guaranteed.
All right, Darren. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you sharing some insights on the disability tax credit and what it means for our people watching here. Before we close, do you have any final comments that you'd like to talk on?
Thanks for having me. This was great. I hope you have lots of listeners that can take advantage of it. And if you're having a difficult time getting around, that's the primary one, because almost 2/3 of Canadians that are over 80 years old qualify for this program. That's how many people don't know about it. There's no advocate in the walking community. I mean, if you're blind, you have advocates. If you're deaf, you have advocates. But if you're just having a difficult time walking, nobody's telling you about this program. And so there's a lot of people out there that are eligible for this, that they're not getting it, and they don't even know that it exists. So take advantage of this information, do something about it. This is your money. You can get it back. And if you use us, we'll get it back for you. And if we don't, it'll cost you nothing, guaranteed. If you don't save, you don't pay. I've been in business for over 30 years doing this exact same thing, helping Canadians save money.
Perfect. Thanks, Garen. Yeah, there's nothing to lose. Go apply, make sure that you're taken care of. And if you know someone as well that might qualify for this, definitely take a look into that. Well, thanks, Darren, again for coming on. Really appreciate it and the insights that you're giving us. And, we'll be in touch. Hopefully a lot of people watching this found this valuable. If you guys did, please give it a thumbs up. And just show Darren some appreciation in the comments, and we'll be in touch. But yeah, Darren, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a great day.
You too.
All right, I hope that interview was of value to you. Of course, if you got value out of this, please hit the thumbs up. And again, hit that link down below. Make sure you fill out that application to see if you qualify. Don't miss out, guys. This is a lot of money that you are entitled to. It's your money. Save it, do what you need with it. But yeah, this is big. Again, Grants International, the refund experts, they will make sure that you qualify and get your tax refund. So again, I'm Nick from Nick's Taxes. Happy taxing.